Hello, and welcome to the SAF Audiovisual Cast, where we, SAF, connect and share information from top university officials, faculty, and administration directly with SAF students and parents. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, William. I'm an IES abroad alumni. After spending some time working in China, I'm now based in Chicago with SAF and IES as a marketing manager. We've got a special guest here today, Associate Director of External Relations and Recruitment for UCLA Summer Sessions. Welcome, Mr. Howard Lee.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you today.
And thanks for being here, Howard. Howard, I've done a little bit of reading. I understand that you're based in California now, and you're part of the UCLA system. You've been there for a short amount of time. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and your life at UCLA?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, hello, everyone. I'm kind of a Southern California kid. I was raised here, but I haven't been living in Southern California for the last 5 years or so. So I've just moved back to California, my home. So I spent the last 5 years in Seattle, Washington, kind of working for the educational system up here. But I'm super excited to be back in California. Like I said, I grew up here. I really miss the weather and the people and the culture. But I've been working, my whole career, about 10 years in education, and my kind of specialty is helping international students, find educational opportunities here in the U.S. So whether that's what I've been doing here in Seattle, and then now with my new role at UCLA, that's my passion. I love helping international students get acquainted with U.S. programs, find the right program for them, and just in general really enjoy their time in the U.S.
Cool. And can you tell us a little bit more about your role currently with UCLA?
Sure. So it is exactly like it sounds. I'm kind of responsible for UCLA Summer Sessions partnerships with external organizations and recruitment. So for students, for our organizational partners, including organizations such as SAF and some universities, basically any non-UCLA students that want to come study with us during the summer when we have open enrollment, I'm your guy.
What brought you into international education?
Oh wow, it's been a long journey, I've got to say. So my family comes from a very international immigrant background ourselves, and so I was exposed to kind of duality in culture from a really young age, which I've got to say has served me well. But I think the major kind of catalyst for me getting into this industry is I had so many international student friends when I was in university. So the friendships that I've made and kind of maintained throughout the years has really kind of clued me into some of the issues and some of the struggles that international students face at U.S. institutions, especially selecting the right one for them. And so, I've kind of made it my life's work and my mission just to, help as many international students as I can. And I find that it's so helpful. I mean, international students really, sometimes they think about their own benefits when they come study in the US in terms of interacting with American students. But I think what they don't realize is that American students, and at UCLA especially, get so much benefit out of international students being on our campus. It's kind of been my thing for the last 10 years or so.
In your opinion, what makes a good global citizen?
Yeah, I think it's a variety of things. The thing about global citizen is I think it's kind of like a catchphrase nowadays, but I think it is exactly what it sounds like. A lot of people think that, well, if I'm well-traveled, then I'm a global citizen. But I don't think that encompasses all of it. I think the meaning is that just people who are really interested in culture and cultural exchange, it makes you a global citizen. So if you've never ever left your own country, I've met a lot of students like that. They may have financial limitations or other limitations, but they're so curious that they are always out there, whether it's on the online arena or just through reading about other cultures. That for me is the definition of a global citizen.
Now, Howard, can you tell us a little bit about the university? Maybe introduce UCLA a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So having grown up in Southern California, UCLA has always been like an institution that has really been present in our lives here in Southern California. And you can think of it as kind of one of the founding institutions of California and Southern California, LA area especially. So some of you may know that UCLA recently, in fact, just last year, celebrated its 100th anniversary. So they had a huge, ceremony where they brought back, very famous alumni and all the students from years past. And so that was, UCLA was founded in 1919. And originally, some students are interested to know that UCLA was not founded as UCLA. It was founded as the southern branch of University of California, which you may know as Berkeley. So for many years during its founding, UCLA didn't really have a name other than the southern branch of the University of California. And so it's kind of interesting to know this, but a lot of Berkeley students and faculty and alumni were very much against UCLA becoming a full kind of equal to UC Berkeley. And we're very proud to have maybe accidentally passed them in the rankings the last couple of years. And so this is, it's a proud moment for UCLA, and yeah, a little bit of a fun fact for you history buffs out there.
It sounds like there might be a little bit of a rivalry there as well, huh?
Just a little bit. And so for the students that are not familiar with, American college culture, the sports teams rivalries definitely loom large in our culture. And Berkeley is kind of our academic rival. I would say, for those of you that are familiar with the Los Angeles scene, there's another school across town, somewhere around downtown, that we consider kind of our main rivals in the LA area. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Now, you mentioned passing, equaling. What we're talking about is the academic level of UCLA. It's really a top level school. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So I think, the majority of students, you may have heard about rankings and that sort of thing. But something to keep in mind is that, rankings, they can differ a lot in terms of, who produces them, what's the kind of method that they use in order to get these rankings. What I can say about the quality of UCLA in terms of rankings is that it is ranked globally, nationally, as a #1 public school. So there is no other public school in the US that is ranked higher than UCLA at the moment. And, rankings are great. I think what they do for students is that they produce a sense of credibility. So when you tell people internationally or nationally here in the US, whatever, that you've studied at UCLA, you never really have to explain about what kind of institution it is, and you don't need to make an introduction about it. So in addition to that, the #1 ranking I'm talking about is, of course, produced by US News and World Report, which is kind of the premier ranking in the US. But we also hold another ranking that I feel is actually much more important, and that is UCLA is the most applied to school in the world. So just last year alone, UCLA received almost 120,000 applications for admission. So I think that's saying a lot more actually than kind of the scientific studies that go into the other rankings. That is just very, very popular for students to want to come to UCLA.
Very interesting. I want to talk to you a little bit about that course load that comes with being a top level school. It's significant. Can you tell us some of the ways that students adapt to that, or how?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a rigorous, academic offering that we have here. We have had some students in the past come to UCLA in the summer, and they think, well, it's summer, it's Los Angeles, we got beautiful weather and the beaches. I'll just take it easy. And to be honest with you, unless they're extremely, extremely intelligent, that usually doesn't work out too well for them. So I would say that you can think of it this way: the students that have been accepted to UCLA, which you will be studying alongside, during the summer are all, I would say, elite students from all around the world. And so you would expect that the academic quality, the rigor of the curriculum, and just the intensive nature of their studies are present. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that there's no fun, because UCLA is known as a school where the students can be academically serious and have fun at the same time. So I think that's one of the major benefits of coming here. Yes, the classes are going to be rigorous. They're going to be academically elite. In some cases, you may have work that's very stressful. But the way that you can kind of counter this, and the way that most UCLA students do it, is they have a really great social life outside of the classroom. And that, involves connecting with your peers, joining clubs and organizations, which our visiting students are fully eligible to do, and just really having a well-rounded and good summer in general.
Okay, so a well-rounded summer, a heavy course load. As I understand, UCLA also offers some services for students to manage that course load. Could you tell us a little bit about those?
That's correct. Yeah. So we have various departments on campus that kind of deal with student issues that arise as a result of the kind of potential stresses that many students face. So all of our students, including visiting students, have access to the counseling center. Something that I want to make visiting students aware of is that counseling, sometimes that word gets lost in translation whenever it's translated to whatever language you happen to speak. But a lot of people think, well, there's something wrong with me if I'm going to counseling. No, that's not the case. It's just someone to talk to, really. A lot of students that have issues with whether it's homesickness or just kind of dealing with stress, or if you want tips about time management, how to manage your time better so that you can complete your work. The UCLA Counseling Center regularly hosts wellness and kind of time management seminars. The other aspect is that we have a huge recreational department. So I always suggest to students who are feeling stressed out that they should add some sort of exercise or a recreational element, or you can combine the best of both worlds and do something like yoga or Pilates. All of those courses are available to UCLA students through our recreation department. So yeah, a lot of support that you'll be getting as part of being a visiting student here.
Certainly. Now, this summer is a little bit different. There's a worldwide pandemic, a lot of effects still being felt. So a lot of students are looking at summertime for online courses instead. Now, I would like to ask you a little bit about summer academic and intensive online course offerings. Can you tell us about how they're designed for online?
Yeah, sure. So something that's really important to kind of mention to students, first of all, is that when you study at UCLA, whether you take an online course or an in-person course, your transcript looks the same. So I know a lot of students out there are wondering, well, I'm going to try and take this UCLA course for some academic credit. Is there going to be a quality difference between the online course and a course I would have taken in person? And the answer is absolutely not. So actually, in order to offer a class online here at UCLA, there are a lot of stringent requirements that must be met, including the professor, whoever's instructing the class, has to go through this committee where they certify the class as an online class. And so in this case, students completely do not have to worry about the quality of delivery in terms of online classes. In terms of the shift to online learning, we have made a lot of inquiries and a lot of relationship building with the various departments that we work with. And just to make them aware that of our international student population coming to our online courses, the challenges that they'll face in terms of time differences, in terms of wanting this interaction with their peers. And so this advocacy is something that we are definitely aware of, and we will continue to make sure that all the online classes offered this summer will have accommodations to make sure that international students participating remotely will get the most out of the situation.
Very insightful. Thank you. Now, I've been exposed to some of the UCLA offerings this summer as a professional, but we all have questions about them. I think it's quite interesting. One program, well, I guess one offering, the UCLA Intensive, it's 3 weeks that you can do full summer course.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a kind of a new program that we're rolling out. And the reason we rolled this out was because actually we listened to a lot of student feedback from international students specifically. And, we have our summer quarter system here at UCLA, which means for those of you that are not familiar, that we actually have 4 terms in the year instead of the traditional 2 semesters. So sometimes our dates don't really match up with your university dates, right? So some students say, well, I want to use my summer as kind of a break, but UCLA's courses start before or they start after the ideal time for me. So we really designed this kind of intensive course series as a method for us to offer more flexible options for students. And so instead of the traditional 6 weeks that it would take to complete a course, you can actually do the same course within 3 weeks. And it is called intensive for a reason. You will be going to class for more days and more hours than the traditional 6 weeks. But it's great because you can get in there, be done in 3 weeks, receive the same amount of credit, and then you can move on to the next class. Or if you have to get back to your university, term, that's fine too. The other benefit of these intensive courses is that they actually offer a series. So for example, some of our language courses, you want to learn Chinese, you want to learn Arabic, you want to learn Korean. These intensive courses, they actually have a series of courses over the summer that in 9 weeks, you can actually complete 3 levels of these language courses. So what would take normally a year, an academic year, 9 months to complete, you'd actually get the same amount of credit in 9 weeks. So it's a great opportunity for students who want to earn a lot of credit in a very short amount of time.
So Howard, I think a lot of our listeners are based in China, where maybe for some schools, the typical academic year has shifted a little bit because of changes, openings, and closures because of the COVID-19 stay-at-home orders or shelter.
Sure.
That means that for a program like that, if it's 3 weeks, but it's only 3 weeks, can you fit it at the time that these students are around?
Yeah, actually, the way that the courses are designed, they're offered on a staggered basis. So based on what I've seen, it will fit. There will be at least one session. There will be at least one 3-week session throughout the summer that will be able to fit something for everyone. So if you're not able to participate with the 6-week session, try to take a look at the dates for the 3-week session, and I'm sure you'll find a date that's suitable for you.
So that means it's not just one 3-week session, but that there's lots of different 3-week sessions.
Exactly. There's actually going to be 3 of them. So there's 3 different dates where we're going to be offering the intensive series.
Fantastic. So this intensive series, there's multiple sessions. There's 4 credit, as you'd mentioned. What about different types of courses?
Yeah. We have rolled out some of what we think is going to be most popular for students. So that includes some of the languages, as I mentioned. It also includes chemistry and biology, which are courses that are in high demand over the summer. So the ability to complete an entire year's worth of chemistry or biology has been a huge draw for our students. And so those are kind of the couple of series that we're offering over the summer to make sure that students get the classes we want. This is something I knew that I mentioned. And so if we do get a good response, you can be sure that starting next summer, we'll continue to offer more classes. The reason that at this point, some of the subjects are quite limited is that we did want to make sure that students are able to do this successfully in 3 weeks. And not all courses are going to be able to be, compacted into this 3-week time span. So it is something we're trying out. It's been really successful so far. And we're looking to, increase the number of courses as we go along.
So a student has the ability to enroll with UCLA for a short period where they're intensive courses. They can also enroll for a regular summer session, and they have lots of options for coursework, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you are available for the summer session A or summer session C, or both, we have students that do both through the entire summer. There's going to be, I would say, over 600 courses that you're going to be able to choose from that cover over 100 different subject areas. So if you have some time flexibility and want to join one of the 6-week programs, there's so many courses out there. I'm sure you'll find the one that's right for you.
Very cool, very interesting, and lots of great offerings. Can you tell us, I don't know if you have one off the top of your head, we prep a little bit in advance. Can you tell us a little bit about your feelings, let's say, on the UCLA in general?
I think it's an institution that can be a lot of things to a lot of different people. One of the kind of the taglines that a lot of people kind of associate themselves with when they work at UCLA is that it's Southern California's kind of mobility engine, in that some students are not aware of the massive scale of what UCLA is. So just one example. You may be familiar with zip codes in the US. Some students have come to the US before, know that we have mailing codes where, sections of a particular city, you have a code to know where the postal service is going to deliver your mail. UCLA is so big that it has its own zip code. So you can think of it as a small functioning city of its own. And it's just a very vibrant community where, students and faculty and, folks from outside are, all interacting in this campus. And so along with the approximately 30,000 students that come to UCLA as students, there's also about 20 to 25,000 staff members on campus at any given time. So it's just a super vibrant place. If you just set yourself up in any corner of the campus and kind of, just watch the people and kind of listen to the conversations that go on, it's amazing how diverse and how, how energizing it is to be around the campus. So yeah, the feeling is that it's just I would describe it as a controlled but frenetic kind of pace, and it's just it's difficult to be tired when you step on the campus because there's so much energy kind of supporting you.
So you've worked, and you do work on UCLA Summer Sessions. Can you share with us if a story or an example comes to mind, an example of student success?
Yeah, absolutely. We have so much student success that happens, and it's unfortunate because there are so many students at UCLA over the summer that we're not able to come in contact with every single student success story. But something that comes into mind for me is that for many years now, we have offered a scholarship program for disadvantaged California high school students. And so part of the mission of UCLA has been about inclusion, has been about diversity. And we recognize that with just, accepting a certain amount of students, into the campus community, it doesn't really serve our purpose, that much in terms of diversity and inclusion. So our international students, serve one purpose. They offer a lot of diversity to our campus. But we also like to bring in diversity in terms of economic disadvantaged students, racially, ethnically. We really want to make UCLA kind of a microcosm of LA in general, which is one of the most diverse places in the world. So, last year, my colleague shared with me that we were able to give a scholarship to a particularly disadvantaged student who had been dreaming about studying at UCLA since I think he was a child. And after participating in one of our summer sessions, a couple years back on the scholarship, he actually gained admission to UCLA this summer. So he's going to be joining us this fall as a fully matriculated student and on a full scholarship as well. So we were super, super, proud and super, super, excited for this individual, given it's been his lifelong dream. And I would say that, he might tell you this, that the UCLA summer session that he spent with us a couple years back really kind of cemented his love for UCLA and his desire to, succeed academically in order to be admitted. So these are kind of the stories that we really love to hear. And in terms of, making a student's dreams come true, that's kind of why our staff and faculty work as hard as we do on a daily basis.
Something that I think resonates with me, and I imagine our students as well, the idea of diversity is about diversity of thought as well. And it's almost a representation of the world on campus there, would you say?
Exactly. Yeah. Some of the feedback that I've gotten from international students in the past is that they're surprised as how open-minded students that they meet at UCLA are. And so, we come across a lot of situations, funny situations really, where cultural, misunderstandings happen. And sometimes our international students are horrified that they may have made some kind of, American culture faux pas. They made a mistake that kind of embarrasses them. But I would say that the majority of stories I've heard have been not only funny, but our American students have been overjoyed to hear about the cultural differences that our international students bring to campus. And so, yeah, if I were to give one piece of advice to international students, is that don't be afraid to be who you are when you're here on our campus. Don't be afraid that you'll be embarrassed because you don't know the things about American culture. In reality, a lot of the American students are so curious about your culture that you would be serving them really well just by being yourself. So, yeah, if all you students out there are looking for one piece of advice, you can be comfortable with being yourself when you're here at UCLA.
Very interesting. So being comfortable and being yourself. Now, there's also challenges that are associated with entering a new system. As I understand, you offer orientations both for visiting students and also online students.
That's correct. Yeah. So part of our kind of cultural adjustment is not designed to kind of change, your own viewpoints, but what we want to do is kind of give you the lay of the land, as we say, just kind of how academic systems work. And a lot of that is kind of pointed towards wanting you to be successful in the classroom. So a lot of our kind of orientation pieces are surrounding how an American classroom works, for example. So you may have heard already that a lot of our professors here, they love to have a little bit of classroom interaction. And sometimes the majority of our Asian students, especially coming from Asia, they're a little bit hesitant about this because in their country, the professor is kind of this respected figurehead in the classroom, and you're not supposed to address him directly or question what he thinks. But part of the academic culture and freedom that we offer here at UCLA is that a lot of the professors really want to hear your viewpoint, and they will ask you that directly. They will encourage your participation, your opinion in class. And so a lot of our orientation pieces are designed around that, just to encourage you to kind of maybe step out of your comfort zone a little bit and try being an American student for a summer.
Wonderful. Sounds fun and easy to jump into as well.
Right.
Now, Howard, we at SAF work a lot with students from East Asia, and particularly students from China are the audience that we're speaking to today. My understanding is that you have some connections to China as well. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So my parents are actually Taiwanese American immigrants. So they came here in the late 70s, in 1970. And so, my family has always had a lot of kind of, Chinese culture. Some of students may be interested to know, I actually lived in Beijing for a few years, working there as well in the education industry. And so I have really fond memories of being in China, interacting with Chinese people, kind of getting to know Chinese culture. Not only, what I had known from my family before, but also the new Chinese culture, dealing with, younger people. And so it's been a fascinating and eye-opening experience. And I always love to interact with our Chinese students just to kind of see, how the culture has changed over the years. It's been about 6 or 7 years since I've lived in China, but I still visit pretty regularly. And I have to admit that every time I go there, I meet a new person, I learn something new culturally that really allows me to kind of fall in love all over again with the Chinese culture.
Howard, something we like to ask our guests here relating to China specifically, and something I personally love to ask our guests. Sure. What is your favorite Chinese dish?
Oh my God, that I could write you a book on that one. Gosh, I love hot pot. So I love all sorts of hot pot, including the Chinese versions, because there are so many versions in China. But I would have to say that, the funny thing about hot pot is that in China, a lot of the versions are so spicy. And
Sure.
So whenever I do go to a hot pot place, especially with my Chinese friends, they will make it a point to let the waiter or waitress know that I'm not from there. And so they have to reduce the spice level. But actually my favorite kind of hot pot is kind of from northern China, where they pickle the cabbage. So our Chinese audience may know it as 酸菜白肉锅. It's kind of a pickled cabbage with some pork. And I love that, especially on a really cold winter day. That kind of hot pot soup is the ideal way to, I think Americans would say, not only does it warm your body, it warms your soul. And that's the kind of feeling that I get from hot pot. And so I would say, if I had to choose, which is a really difficult decision, but that would be my number one kind of dish that Chinese food is, for me, is my favorite.
Sounds delicious. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah.
Now, on a different note, we're well aware of the COVID-19 pandemic that's happening. Students, parents are faced with different thoughts. Do you have anything to share with them?
Yeah. First of all, my heart goes out to all of those that are in China that are affected by the COVID-19 situation. I know that, China was kind of the first places that were hit by this COVID situation. And as a result of kind of the things that Chinese have learned, it really has benefited some of the defensive measures that other countries have taken as well. So we're really, interested in supporting students during this time. I would say that, something that all students should keep in mind is that even in this time of, quarantine, of staying at home, being socially distant, learning doesn't have to stop. That's our message here at UCLA, is that there are always ways that you can learn. And so whether that's, participating in UCLA classes remotely, or just, chatting with your family about their history, things like that. There's always something to be learned. And so I think, during this quarantine, maybe you won't be participating in kind of the traditional, what we consider learning, as in going to school, but there's so many opportunities to pick up a good book, or learn your family history, or just pick up a hobby of some sort that you never had time to do before. So I think, yes, it is a terrible situation that has caused, a lot of pain and anguish in the world, but try to look on the bright side, definitely try to use this time wisely, and I think it'll benefit you a lot in the future.
Howard, that's a wonderful message. Thank you so much. And thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. And I hope to see you all at UCLA at some point.